banners at the top. Go to
can you see me now? Can you see me now?
Can I see you now?
Yeah.
Right, 1 minute.
Hello. Good evening. We had to start it all afresh again. I'm very sorry about that. We had a slight technical glitch. My technical expertise was on the phone. Hello again. Could not hear and see you before. Good evening, Clint. We can see you. Fantastic, Louis Lewis. We are here. We are live. We had a banner stuck in front of me. Sorry about that. I hope you're well. We're going to start afresh. We're 10 minutes late, but no mind. I hope you're well out there. This is the new Inview. There's lots of things going to be happening to this. One is I will be learning more about where I'm streaming from, obviously, because we had a banner stuck on it. The Inview is very much about bringing together people and bringing their views and whatever they may be, good, bad, or indifferent. It's whatever people want to say, want to talk about. We're on a new platform, but led by my technical team, who are the people that are now simultaneously we are broadcasting from YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Gemma Jane Brooks, hello. She's watching and listening from YouTube. Kerry Wallace is listening. She's listening in the middle of a cyclone storming through Greece at this moment in time. Well, what can I say? You know, the Inview will hope to see bring some calm to the proceedings. Oh, who is on the show tonight? We have got a real mixed bag. We have got coming up very shortly, in about 3 minutes' time, actually, the amazing Barbara Hennessy is a tarot workshop facilitator, psychic development teacher, and manages and produces her own monthly Psychic Owl online magazine. It's a free publication online. 7:45 tonight, we've got the return of Robert Luther Smith, who is an independent musician, producer of music, has worked in the music industry for many years, and he's toured with Hot Chocolate, L Brown and Culture Club and all sorts of that. And then 8:15 tonight, because we're trialing this week, we go back to an even bigger guest list next week. We have got Lieutenant Kit Kat from the Moreland Police Department, which I'm sure he'll be giving us an update of what's going on in Moreland and the sheep that's going on there. While we wait for Barbara to come along, it is news of the week. And obviously the news is absolutely chock-a-block at this moment in time, obviously with coronavirus. Now, hello, Matthew John. Great to have you on board. And Jan Caddy, it's great. Jan Cardy, it's great to have you on board as well. Coronavirus, where do we sit with coronavirus? Well, does anyone know what they're meant to be doing anymore? Because some places are going lockdown, some places aren't. This is an absolute mind screw. Now, I know that anyone that's in power, it's a hell of a difficult job to try and... I can't even finish that because we have got our first guest. And luckily, she is on the phone. Hello, is that Barbara?
It is Barbara. Is that Clinto?
Hello, Barbara. How are you? It's a long time no speak. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I had to restart this because we're on a different platform tonight. We started on a new platform, which means people can watch simultaneously from Facebook and YouTube at the same time.
I'm very impressed. In fact, I was there at 7 o'clock, and then
I vanished.
Yes, you did. I say bring back the banner, cover you up.
Well, cover me up. That's not very nice, is it? Eh? You know, I've got my hair styled.
That was a mixed bag.
I've got my hair styled for the show this week, and I'm in my beautiful Hawaiian shirt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking more of the hair actually, but
I know it's wonderful, isn't it? And this has grown because I was in lockdown myself from even doing the interview, really, because we were sorting this show out, and then unfortunately I got flu, not coronavirus, but flu. So you know,
right now,
I'm all right. Yeah, well, it's affected me mentally, I think, but it's okay. You know, aliens can't really get affected by Earth mentalness. You know what I mean?
No, well, you can't anyway. No.
How are you anyway, Barbara? It's been a long time.
I'm fine. I'm busy, doing this, that, and the other. Nothing's really stopped for me, actually, through all this. So
really, you've been working away. Obviously, there's no shows or anything like that, but you didn't do many shows because you went more into teaching people the tarot, didn't you?
Exactly. Yeah, I still do readings every now and then, but
Yeah.
my love is teaching and getting people out there learning about tarot, doing their psychic development, all sorts of things. And it's wonderful just to see people's faces when they suddenly realise, wow, I can do this.
Yeah.
And it's such a lovely moment. So,
because when they pick the cards up, obviously these people that come along, I'm sure you have all ranges of people, from people that have never picked cards up before, that feel they're a bit psychic, to some people that actually are very skeptical and then come along just to see what it's like.
Oh, exactly. You professional readers that come to my workshops. I had one last week, a one-to-one tuition. She's already working in Knightsbridge.
Wow.
In London.
Really?
And she lives in Harrow. She drove down. She stayed in locally in Sidmouth, just her second batch of teaching. But she's charging astronomical amounts.
Yeah, I bet she is in Knightsbridge, yeah.
And she's superb. Absolutely, mate. Absolute pleasure to work with her. So you get all sorts of people. Like you said, the skeptics, and that's part and parcel of the teaching, is to explain, because a lot of people are scared. They think, oh my goodness, I always warn everybody, you tell people you're learning tarot, and they go, you don't want to do that,
I had all that.
Angel cards.
I started with tarot.
Yeah.
I started with tarot, and the Toth Pack is what I started with, actually.
Oh, wow. But I think you've got people going, oh, you don't want to do that.
Well, I think it's because people have the wrong conception and idealism. It's like witches and all sorts of that as well.
Oh,
it's not Dark Age stuff.
Yeah. No, exactly. Essentially, it's a deck of cards.
Yeah.
And I go through all the history. I start right from scratch, so people understand, about the Witchcraft Act and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And the millions of people that were killed because they're different. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a fabulous thing. So I don't spend too much time doing the history because people want to learn about the cards. So,
absolutely.
We just get on with it, and it's the same with psychic development. We've all got it.
Yeah.
It's just finding what we're good at, and also discovering new things. And
what avenue to take as well, because it's everyone's different, and we're all individual. We have our own style and a way of doing things, and that as well.
Yeah, I don't want many me.
No, absolutely. And above all, it's got to be fun. God. You know what I mean? It's got to be fun while you're doing it as well, isn't it?
Oh, God, yeah. We have a lot of laughs. We have an awful lot of laughs. It's funny, one long before lockdown, obviously, I squeezed 12 people into a room.
Wow.
And when it got to the second one, and there was a guy in it, and he said, how many people can you insult today, Barbara? Because I do like insulting people, but in a nice way. Well, you know that, Clint.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm well used to that. Yeah. I will put it out there to the enormous amount of people listening, which are actually crossing over from YouTube and Facebook. I'd like to welcome Jenny Dean, Manny Collins, Jason Harper, McCusbro, Jan Cardi, and Patricia DeAngelis, who is listening all the way over in Sydney in Australia. If any of you out there listening right now have any questions or anything about the tarot, or what you do with it, or how you start it, or what's it mean, please put your comments in the comment section, and I will ask Barbara any questions you have. So that's very important as well. And obviously it's difficult at the moment, isn't it? Because obviously, we can't meet, so you can't get groups together or anything. It's a lot of segregation going on here. And obviously I do believe that the psychic community is one that I feel is something of a bit of a lifesaver for a lot of people, because they're questioning the judgment of people that we think, not me personally, but a lot of people think are people that are actually given the right direction when clearly they're not. Yeah. And as they're not given that right direction, then they're looking at a different avenue to heal themselves or whatever as well. Do you know what I mean? Or find answers. Yeah. And we do live in a time where the answers are not there for people, because there's nobody actually that anyone's got any faith in.
No, well, the only person you should have faith in is yourself.
Absolutely.
When it comes down to it. Yeah. And I found over, 6 months? This is all be going on. I've lost track of time now.
I know.
really expanded is, I do this mind mapping of subconscious, and the amount of people that have come to me for that, to discover their own inner journey and the direction they should go. And it's sort of, a lot of people have found a lot of peace. A lot of people are obviously very worried about what's going on, but others have found a lot of peace, and they're thinking, well, hang on, is there more to life than just going to work and just doing this and just doing that? There must be more. And, that's what other, readers and psychics, that's what our job is, to help people on their path, whatever path they choose to take. It's their lives, and
well, it's finding solace, isn't it? Because the fear-driven society we live in, and for people that are fed into that absolute bilge of shite that they're given, so that they're so scared to go outside, and then what they do is they mind screw everyone by actually telling them, we're going to change the rules all the time, so you won't have a clue what you're doing.
I know, I've given up. I don't know what I'm doing now. I rely on my sisters to tell me. So what am I doing this week? What goes on now? How many people? I mean, I was at a workshop yesterday. There was only 4 of us. Well, 5 of us, including me. So that was fine. I don't know. Monday it could all change again. Who knows?
I know,
but at
but
least with the tarot, I can teach it online as well.
Absolutely. Well, you could do it. You could do it on Zoom or anything like that as well, couldn't you?
Well, that's what I do. Yeah. I mean, I do. I still got my tarot club. It's once a month now.
Wow.
That's on Zoom. That works brilliantly because.
So what do you do in your tarot club?
Well, it's sort of we have a little bit of teaching. So I teach a little. So we might talk about, I don't know, just off the top of my head, say 4s. We go into the meanings of 4s, and we look at different symbolism and blah blah blah. We do what I call a tarot journey, which is a sort of meditation, but it's like a journey that's relevant to tarot. There'll always be a new layout. I've designed a new layout for everybody to practice on each other. All sorts of things like that. And then at the end, because I put them, you can put them into groups, into rooms, and then they do readings for each other. Practice that. And I can pop into each room if they need any help, and give them advice and things like that. And then once every sort of 3 months, I share it on my Facebook page. We do predictions for the USA and Australia for the next 12 weeks.
Wow.
And, so they go off, into their groups and put them into 2 groups. One does USA, one does Australia. And they do, what's going to happen in those countries over the next, few months.
Yeah.
So it's all different aspects of tarot. And I've got all sorts of people from all over the place, because that's the great thing about Zoom. They can be from,
absolutely,
further up country. It's great.
Well, it's like doing this. We've got young Patricia that's it's 5 a.m. or whatever, listening to this or watching the show. Do you know what I mean? In Sydney.
Yeah, superb. It's superb. So it's opened up. There's, with any catastrophe, let's put it that way, there is always positives.
There's always positives, yeah.
Exactly. And I've learned a lot of new things doing it this way. I've met a lot of new people, not physically, obviously, but via.
No, they're all cyber people.
Yeah, and you learn different ways of working, which is sort of in the back of my head anyway, but this just gave me the push to carry on, and try it. And it's really, it's sort of exciting as well as being scary, and
yeah, it is. And I mean, it's a bit like me coming on tonight, and then I'm not on, then I'm back on. When you're live, it is scary because something can go when you're using something new as well. Anything can go wrong, and obviously we're not infallible from making mistakes, but we rectify it and we move on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If anyone's got anything out there that would like me to put any questions to our guest tonight, Barbara Hennessy, who is a tarot facilitator. She also, we'll come on to in a minute, she has an amazing psychic magazine that started off quite a long time ago. Something else has grown into something altogether different. And I'd like to say hello to Susan Horwell, Karen Jane Price listening, Stella Edmondson, who had me on a television actually watching this. I mean, like, even bigger. That's just frightening, isn't it? Debbie Johnson says, hi, Clint. Nice to see you make a lot of sense in all of this. Well, that's very kind. Thank you very much. And Jenny Dean, that sounds really good. And she says, I've got to love Zoom. So, yes. So, Barbara, you do a publication online, the Psychic Owl. And in it, you have all manner of different things. And, I've let you down really badly, I know. And, and I'm surprised you hadn't set the Psychic Police round to me. Because I know.
Did they miss you?
Yeah, I was in lockdown and they couldn't come and knock the door. But I am, and it's not a threat. I am actually going to put together over the course of the next couple of weeks and send to you the piece that I've nearly done on crop circles. It's only about 5 months late, you know.
I think you find that's a year late. Actually.
Oh my God, really? Where's that gone?
Yeah.
Well, we could step back in time.
Oh dear.
I will send it. I will send it to you anyway.
All right, okay.
Because it's an interesting piece, but it's, you know, tell people what's in this, because you know it's free. You put it together. You have a lot of people working on it, and you put it out there, and it's quite phenomenal. I think it started from something else, and it's gone into an online magazine. Tell people what's in it.
Well, it's by email. You can access it via my website as well, because you can access all the old editions. Yeah, it sort of morphed again last month to change it, because I thought, it was taking up so much time, and obviously it's completely free, so you know you don't get it. And I thought, God, not getting tired because I love doing it. And I thought, I'll stop it. And I had all these emails saying, please don't stop it. And all right, then I carried on.
Well, you know, you've got to look at some point, I suppose, in relation to, you know, yes, we can do lots of things for free, but at the same time, when it takes up a lot of time and everything, there needs to be, you know, a form of exchange on it of some description, even if it's something you subscribe to.
But even somebody emailing me saying, I really enjoyed this edition, that's enough. Oh, good, it was worthwhile.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. There are all sorts of things in the different articles. So we changed it slightly now. So let's see what we've got. I've got a section called now Prediction Central.
Yeah.
So that's sort of halfway down and everything like that. So the amazing Teresa Searle, she's doing her.
She's brilliant. She's on here next week doing astrology.
Right. I'll definitely listen next week. Teresa. I do. So she does for the the month ahead, whatever month. Like next one's going to be October.
Yeah.
I do it for your element. So instead of doing it for the star signs or anything, I do a 4-card reading. So whatever your element is for your star sign. So with your Earth or air or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do that, and I've got an amazing guy called Phil Dean. And he rings I Ching, which I always thought was I Ching, but it appears it's pronounced I Ching.
Right.
So he does readings for the month as well. So that's our Prediction Central. And then I've got my tarot news. So I do a review of a deck, and I talk about I'll pick a card from the deck and talk about different symbolism in it and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a new layout. And then there's articles. I've got a new lady coming on this month with her spiritual art, this amazing art that she channels through. So she's got to get that to me soon. We've got a regular thing, because back in March I did an article on gardening by the moon phases.
Yeah, that sounds brilliant.
For thousands of years,
Yeah.
And I got lots and lots of feedback on that. So I have a lady who works that way. That's how she gardens. So she does an article each month what you should be doing, within the month, going by the garden.
Well, at least you can go out in your garden. At least you're safe there.
Exactly.
As long as you don't have more than 6 people helping you.
Well, yeah. But that's what people say. A lot of people who've got gardens this year, the gardens have been amazing, because that's what people have been doing.
If they're not gardening, they're becoming super cooks and bakers and all sorts.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all different articles like that. I can't think what else I was doing this month. I know. I'm doing an article about the moon again. I'm into the moon at the moment. So it's all different articles. And there's something I started, which is quite funny. I had this book that's 1938 that was my mother's, and it's called Aunt Kate's Household Companion. It's quite funny in places.
I know what you mean. I've seen those.
So different.
Some of the strange things they taught children.
Oh my goodness! But it's their attitudes.
Yeah.
So some of them are very relevant now, but some of it is hilarious. There was the recipe on one that I did last month. I thought, this sounds very healthy. Like 2 ounces of cheese and 6 slices of fried bread. What the hell?
Yeah.
That's really healthy.
But that's when men were men, wasn't it?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, women did everything for them.
I know. I agree. Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the magazine, basically. So, I get guest people, like yourself.
Yeah.
When they
That you're
get
waiting
there,
months
sort of
for.
thing. Yeah, a year.
I know. I have got a question here, and I'd just like to say, Patricia DeAngie says I look like Austin Powers today. Oh, wow. That's very kind. Thank you very much. I don't know if that's compliment or not. Crystal 3 says, I'm glad you're back on. Gemma says, great show. I haven't asked people, right? I haven't sent money out to these people to say nice things about me. But Gemma said, great show as always. You are a brilliant presenter and communicator, Clint. The check's not in the post. Caroline Lewis says hello. And Gemma Jane Britt says, the 6 people rule, Snow White is in trouble. She certainly is, because she had 7, didn't she?
Yes. Yeah, but Happy's not going to be around, is he? Yeah.
No, Happy won't be around. No, Happy would be locked up or somewhere. But Jenny Dean's got a question for you, right? She's a starting newbie on tarot. And she asks, is the 3rd card best to start off past, present, and future?
It's completely, funny enough, in my beginner's tarot, that is one of the layouts that I teach.
Yeah.
The best one is 1 card. Just ask a question. Do it first thing in the morning, wake up in the morning, ask, what's my day going to be like? It's the best way to get used to the cards.
Yeah.
And then pick up and look at it. You can either look at it there and then and think, right, okay, this is what I think is going to happen today. Go on and have your day, come home and, all right, I can understand that. Or pick the card and don't come home, have your day, come home and see how it, mixes with she did that day. 3-card reading, easy peasy. That's the
past,
really
present,
one.
future.
Past, present, future. You can't go wrong with that. You'll get, professional readers that you're paying for a reading for will do past, present, and future.
Yeah.
So for her, definitely go for past, present, and future. You can't go wrong with that. Nice one to start with.
Fantastic.
It's not too complicated. Yeah. Super duper.
Crystal Spree says, sod the rule of 6. Jason Harper, my husband, says, I look more like Words of Gummidge on acid tonight. Actually, nice. Thanks, Cusbro. And Moira Wilson, who's listening, watching, says, hi, Clint, great to see you back. And lots of you, including like yourself, Moira, and lots of other people listening, are all in the fields of what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? In lots of different ways. And we are all trying to make the best of quite a bad sort of situation, but one we knew was coming, really, because lots of people, they probably say to you, why on earth am I here? Why am I born in this family? Why am I have to go through all this, and why do I have to put up with this right now, and why did I have to go through everything in my life? Well, the simple answer is you chose to be here.
Do you know what? I was talking about that today, exactly what, literally 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
To a police
I must be psychic.
Yeah, it must be. Oh, yeah, it must be. But it's true. We chose to, to experience, because when you get a really bad time and you think, did I really choose this?
Yeah.
Did I really choose to carry this out? And you think, oh, well, that's pretty stupid. Get it over and done with. Get on with something else.
Yeah. The thing is, what people have got to realise is that they haven't just lived once. Do you know what I mean? And I know it goes off tangent a little bit, but to the understanding of who we are and what we are is actually understand we are the end result of everything we've been. And we have tools like divine intervention, what we have inside ourselves, and also intuition. That's not all this cosmic ordering rubbish and all sorts. It's always been there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we have an intention, we want to do something, it'll happen. It's a bit like if you don't want to meet somebody, you walk around the corner and bump into them.
Oh God, yeah. And there's always the, sending it out to the universe. This is going to sound far, but last night, because of the workshop I did, I've got to go and collect all the stuff, all my own tables and everything. And, it's heavy stuff to move around. I just drove there. I came home, got my car, drove back and said, look, please let there be the parking space outside the shop. I got there and it was.
And it was.
Thank you, Angel.
Yeah. And if you get in your car and you had a bad morning, say you got out of bed and your foot slammed on the floor, bashed against the dresser or something, and you're swearing a little bit and all sorts, then you go down, make a cup of tea, and don't work or whatever, and then you go out and you're already in a bad mood. Do you know what I mean? Which affects your energy. And then you're thinking, well, I need a car parking space when I get there, and you find there ain't one. And then no matter how many times you wander around, there won't be one there because you're not actually looking or viewing life as it should be. All these people that say they're bored or they don't know what they're doing, everyone, you know yourself, has a divine guidance within inside themselves to actually do it, to do anything.
Yeah. You just got to go into that quiet place and ask.
Yeah,
I don't wake
and
up
you don't have to sit and meditate for hours because well, you could say we are walking meditative state people at the moment on this planet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I'm always in a different. I always got people say, "How do you meditate?" I just meditate anywhere. I stand in the queue at Tesco's or meditate.
That's right. That's yeah, stand in the queue at Tesco's. Yeah, and you know, we look. Whatever people's views are, we are living in an absolutely draconian and what I would call fascist dictator. And it doesn't matter if it's Tories, Labour, whoever's in there. There's an agenda way beyond whatever political leaders sit there. And there is darkness across this planet. And, you know, there are people like you, me, and millions of other people that are there trying to create a balance because this has been going a long time and I think it's coming to an end.
The thing is with people, so, you know, I've heard this recently about Glastonbury. No, I love Glastonbury because my family come from Glastonbury. So
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was there yesterday.
Yeah, a woo-woo stuff, as people say. I just like the place. To me, it's home.
Yeah.
But you'll get people saying it's getting very dark. But you mentioned it. It's getting very, very dark there. Yeah. I've not noticed it personally, but other people have said it. And that's with a lot of places. Oh, you know, it's getting dark. Oh, I'm going to move away because it's getting... Well, if you move away with your light, it will get dark.
Absolutely,
so
I agree. I completely agree with you. The only reason I say about Glastonbury because it is the only place that you will have the balance of light and dark that sit together, which actually sits within inside us. But you know, it is a strange place. There is a like a bit like what we've got on a much more smaller scale in relation to COVID in a way. There is a percentage of people that control the element of that town, and control it in a way that they're all infighting with each other. And you know, if you go in there in a real bad situation, it will raise it. If you go there in a happy situation, it will take it up. And yes, it can. Glastonbury is a place that take you in, you know, how to shop there and everything. And then at some point it spit you out and say, well, we had enough now and you have to do something else. But it always sits within you because it is you know, it's where all ley lines meet.
Yeah. To me, it's the most wonderful place ever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I need a fix at Glastonbury.
It's your fix. Yeah. Well, I went there yesterday. It was amazing. Walked around and obviously, you know, having a shop there and not being around very much, it was nice to go back, go and have a look at it and all sorts. I even walked in my old shop. But you know, which was quite a big thing to do, to be honest, because I'd never been in there since I left. They all said, where you been? It's not even my shop. Crystal Desprez says, I like Celtic Cross. George Olson, listen. Hello, George. Says hello to myself and you. Patricia Angeles says to Jason, I don't know who Wurzel Gummidge is. Obviously you don't, because, you know, he needs to explain that better, doesn't he? Wurzel Gummidge on acid. Debbie Johnson says she's having it's a fab new moon sitting in my garden tonight.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. And Patricia Andrew said we need to feel more and think less. We do. Yes. And
yeah. That's great. Yes.
George Olson says reptilian people around us. Well, to a degree, there is. Not everyone is human. There are humanoids and God knows what and everything else out there. Do you know what I mean?
Remember, we're all spirits.
Oh, they're all spirits. Yeah, to a degree. Yeah. Well, yeah, and you know, Matthew Barker says, "Hi, Clint. Haven't seen you in the Dragon for a while." No, I haven't got in the Dragon for a while. and obviously, you know, in lockdown, and potentially we could be heading for another lockdown potentially, but I don't think we could possibly have it, to be honest. And the reasons for that is because, you know, people have had enough. You know, every year, and I say it all the time, and I don't want to go on about COVID, but we have flu, and we're sitting in that time. I've just had it. You know, I haven't had COVID. I could come in and say, oh, I had COVID and all sorts. I didn't. I had a flu. I had ordinary flu. Because the seasons are changing and they affect us in lots of different ways. And also illness, in a way, is about regurgitating and getting rid of crap that we have inside ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know.
Is it by Louise Hay, How to Heal Yourself? And it's brilliant. Go through it. You know, even down to like an aching elbow, it will tell you what stress or whatever is causing that problem. So, I mean, some things you have to look at is hereditary and whatever. But other illnesses, you know, I mean, I personally, COVID, I know people have got it, that's had it, and I know people have died from it. And, you know, being boringly practical as I am, as you know, I am boringly practical, I can't see as they can have a complete lockdown because the country's got to make money.
Yeah.
You know, it's so...
Because that's the system we live in at this moment in time.
Yeah. But there will be some form of lockdown. I'm quite sure about it. But it just won't be as extreme as it was back at the beginning.
But it's going to be very messy, isn't it? Because I know we got Newcastle and Birmingham and lots of other places in lockdown and that. And other places aren't. Crystal DeSpree says, it's funny how COVID got rid of terrorists and ISIS. That's amazing, isn't it? But I'll tell you what it didn't get rid of. It didn't get rid of Brexit.
No, well, that was still going through, sliding through.
I'm completely and utterly baffled. My brain is overloaded. I talked about Brexit for weeks and weeks on here, and then they get 84 MPs in and they vote through this fantastic deal that now is not fantastic because it's a load of crap. You know, and they're saying, no, we're not having that. So potentially we haven't done anything with it.
No, I know. Well, they're supposed to be a bit busy doing other things like COVID.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it takes over everything, doesn't it? COVID.
Well, yeah.
Patricia De Angelis in Sydney says, how can I hear birds when it's evening for you? Oh, they are. Well, she's hearing birds.
Oh, well, is it not? Well, you're doing it from where you live.
Yeah. Well, there's no birds because it's dark. Yeah.
It's not dark here.
Isn't it? It's very dark here.
No. Oh, well. Oh, you said it was. Oh, I told you I'd send the site police round, didn't I?
Well, there you are, yeah. They are.
Oh, dear. Anyway, you must be ready for your next guest.
It's coming up, yeah. Well, I would suggest you do, because I'm sure there's a lot of people be very, very interested in if you could put on the comment section your website or tell people. Eh?
Oh, yeah, great.
Put it on there, because if you want to get hold of your magazine, online magazine, it's completely free. Just sign up and it'll be sent out to you every month. Yeah, and it comes out on the 1st. Yeah. So put it in the comment section.
Actually see an article from Clint on it.
Yes, you will. You will. Now, Patricia Angie says she can hear birds from my end. Well, they must be angelic or elemental birds.
Oh, could be.
So,
yeah, but it's definitely not here.
No.
Anyway, yes, I'll do that. I'll put a comment on.
Yeah, put a comment on about your sorry, I'm not going to say newsletter, magazine, and your link and all sorts of that, and that'd be great.
Happy days.
You've been fantastic, amazing guest.
And we're going to have to meet up soon in Glastonbury.
Yeah, that'd be really good. That'd be really good. And this new format is quite good, actually, because it's much clearer picture. You can even see me a bit clearer, which is frightening,
I'm
actually.
I'm not sure whether that's good or not, Clint, actually, but there we are. So mean. All right, then, well, I love you and leave you, and I hope to see you soon.
Stella Edmondson said, I've already found Barbara's website, and I've signed up for a magazine too. There you are.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Lovely. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, stick it on there, and we'll get you on again in a few months.
Indeed. All right.
All right.
See you soon.
Thanks a lot, Barbara. Bye. Bye. Amazing. Barbara Hennessy there. Does tarot facilitator, does a few readings still. Has got the psychic owl, a fantastic thing. So we're coming up next. Our next guest has been on the phone already. And we're going to bring him up now. We're going to give him a ring. Lovely guy. He's been on the show quite a few times. He's a musician, but he's got some very strong views on things and that as well. This is Robert Luther Smith. Hello, Robert.
Hello there.
Robert, how are you? It's great to speak to you, young man.
I'm very well.
Yeah, it's great. How is your mum?
She's extremely well. She's just had her dinner.
That is fantastic, because your mum's 100?
And one.
101. And she's had a telegram, obviously, and everything.
Yeah, she had that, that's for sure. Yeah, they come and check out if you're still alive.
Do they?
Before they send it.
Do they really?
Yeah, somebody came around to see if this is actually where she lived and if she was still alive and all that jazz, yeah.
Really? I've never heard that before. I didn't realise they did that.
No. You have to book it 3 weeks in advance. So you have to go onto a website, or is it 5 weeks in advance, I think?
Right.
You have to book it on a website, and so they come and see whether the person involved is the person they think it is and all that jazz. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That person's got quite a busy job, because we're living to a lot older age now, aren't we?
Well, it's got quite a nice job as well, I would have thought.
Well, I would have thought so, yeah, absolutely. So how are you? Robert has worked in the music industry for years and years and years, and has seen and has been in all sorts of situations in that time, and he's worked with some great and fantastic people, and he's independent now in today's world, and he's out there doing it still, and obviously we'll get his website and everything else a bit later on. But how have you found it? Because I know you're quite outspoken as well on other things as well in relation to what we live in and COVID and God knows what.
It seems so, yeah.
It seems so, yeah. And I think it's really important that we all have different ideas and different understanding on what's going on by what an ethos or understanding inside itself of how things click and connect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it depends what you're talking about in terms of what I speak out about. But I mean, I had a pretty bad experience in the first instance going into the music business. I mean, it was the first thing I found out. I think I'm just a naturally nosy person. My mother's a very nosy person.
Yeah.
And my dad always my grandfather, interested me in Sherlock Holmes when I was, 6 or 7.
Was that the Basil Rathbone?
No, it was the books, really.
Oh, right. Sorry, yeah.
Yes. We used to read books in those days.
I know, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, and that's when you held a book rather than look it on a screen.
And I've since found out quite a lot of it, a lot about Sherlock Holmes and Conan Doyle. And it's just obviously I had a sort of curiosity about why, when something was wrong, why is it wrong?
Yeah.
And it's just my grandparents, for some bizarre reason, or because they've been through 2 world wars, they told me that if I ever saw anything wrong, I should do something about it.
Right? Yeah.
And so I always have done. And of course, the people who I've caught out don't like it. It goes without saying, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I certainly think at the moment that we should all really stop and look at the criminal justice system. It really isn't working properly.
No.
I'm not saying it's not working. That is to say, it isn't functioning at all.
Yeah.
But the level that it's functioning at is an absolute disgrace, and that's my current interest. 60,000 people a year are taken to court by the CPS. 60,000 a year are taken to court by the CPS and found innocent.
Bloody hell. And of course, the Crown Prosecution Service is supposed to review all these cases, isn't it, for its own merit? But
the criminal justice, the Crown Prosecution Service is a broken system. There's no question of doubt about that. It's a corrupt system. And I found out something this week from a solicitor who'd been in the business that the trouble all started 20 years ago when the Crown Prosecution Service took over decisions for charging.
Yeah.
So before 2000, it was the sergeant in the police station that decided whether to charge. And in 2020, the CPS took over that role.
Yeah.
And since then is when all the problems, not all the problems, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but there is a lot of problems out there, because you've got paedophiles that are being in court that are let off, and all manner of different things going on.
Well, you certainly have to ask what reason the CPS prosecute whom. I think it's no longer charging people just because they've done something. It's because the CPS are politically motivated and they charge who they want to charge, not who they should charge.
Yeah.
And this is what's really, and I think that's, because obviously the Black Lives Matter thing matters. Obviously black people are being badly treated.
Yeah.
But what I don't think...
But white people are badly treated. So are blue, red and green.
That's the next point I was coming to. Why there were so many white people, as it were, on the Black Lives Matter is because we've all been, including me, have been treated badly by the local criminal justice system. And I would describe, without any hesitation, here in Bournemouth, Poole and Christchurch, the local criminal justice system, a sort of mafia type of thing.
Yeah.
It's that bad. And we've all got to start taking notice of this.
And this comes down to the corruptness that's in it, and that goes down to even not everyone. I'm obviously not pinpointing everyone, but there's a legacy within the police force and upwards, which is corrupt.
Which?
Do you know what I mean?
Which is corrupt. Yes, corrupt. Yeah. I don't think it's the police. I'm actually going to say this out loud. It is not the police. It is the Crown Prosecution Service. And because the police are the ones that get it sent out, so people tend to blame them because they've had to do whatever it is they've been told to do.
Yeah.
But it's the Crown Prosecution Service. They're a bunch of crooked lawyers. That's all they are. We should all realise that they are. And I blame the magistrates because 95% of all cases go through the magistrates' court.
Yeah. But aren't they? Is it because the magistrates are so out of touch, basically? Aren't they?
Yes. And also they have no training in law whatsoever.
No.
And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that people with no training in law should try not guilty pleas.
Yeah.
67% of all cases plead guilty.
Yeah.
That leaves 33% who pleaded innocent, and out of that, 13% are found innocent. So that overall is a 13% failure rate. So that 1 in 8 people are charged falsely.
Yeah.
That isn't a small statistic. That's an outrage, and that we've really got.
You're only touching the tip of an iceberg, really, aren't you?
Only what?
It's only a tip of an iceberg. I think
it is, and I think that we should all bear in mind that Keir Starmer used to be the head of the Crown Prosecution Service.
Yeah.
And I think so he was the chief prosecutor. That's a nice thought, having your leader as your chief prosecutor.
He's a chief prosecutor, and also is chief prosecutor when the Jimmy Savile situation blew up.
And many other things.
Yeah.
And I think it's also noteworthy that the vice president candidate, what's her name? I can't think of her name, but the Democrat, she used to be the chief prosecutor.
Yeah.
So we've got a chief prosecutor in the Labour Party and a chief prosecutor in the Democrats. That I find slightly odd, I must admit.
That is very odd.
And if they've got through, let's stick to Starmer, if he's got through working in the CPS and not noticed how corrupt it is, then he must be corrupt himself. He must be.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people would say that, politically, most of it is, isn't it? In any fraction, whether you're Liberal, Labour, Conservative, whatever, or Social Democrats, there's going to be an element of corruption within there somewhere. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, inevitably there are going to be people who are corrupt. But I'm afraid to say for some of your listeners, I'm very closely associated with the Tory party, and I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
And if I'd seen it, I'd say something. Take my word for it. If I'm totally anxious, but it's the criminal justice system, and I've got I thought the mayor was in charge of the criminal justice system. I was informed, that it was the chief executive officer in every borough. I've been in touch with him, and he said he's not in charge of the criminal justice system. So who's in charge of the criminal justice system?
Oh.
Nobody knows.
Well, a law to themselves, it sounds like. I'll just read these comments because you've stirred something up with Crystal Desprez. It's been on the show before, actually. It's a sound technician, works in a lot of music. She says, yes, rapists and abusers not prosecuted, no further action, not going to court, put as no crimes. Well, police, she says, well, police aren't great either. Detective told me what happened wasn't violent enough. And she said, rang me up on a Sunday after being raped whilst asleep and hit. And I went through how, and I even have a transcript, the attacker confession in family court in the garage, yet police won't take it as evidence.
Well, I mean, I can't comment on that.
No, of course you can't, but it's bonkers.
The point is, it isn't the police. It's the criminal. It's the Crown Prosecution Service.
Because the police are really just a pickup service, aren't they?
Yes, they're the body.
Yeah.
And the CPS is the brain. And I've had police officers, because I've been delving into it deeply, all of the police officers I've spoken to, which is about half a dozen officers, all don't like the CPS. A friend of mine's brother is a detective in a local force, and they call the CPS the dark side.
The dark side.
The dark side. And so that's what they see of them. Apparently they're always on the phone, and the CPS are the police's boss. So it's no good blaming the ordinary officer, who I must say, in the last 20 years, have massively improved. I mean, you used to get those guys with the, excuse me, but the large stomachs, you know, and say, now they're all very fit and young and intelligent, and they've been making it clear that they think there's something wrong with the CPS and the system, and also the mental health system. I mean, the psychiatrists and the CPS work together. And so the psychiatrists advise the CPS on who they should, in how they should deal with people.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, I've been through their reports, and they get things wrong, the facts are wrong. And of course, because most stuff goes through the magistrates' court, the magistrates don't know what they're doing. They just believe everything that's written down.
Mm.
So the police can just write anything, or at least the police that do the writing, but the police can write anything down, the psychiatrists can write anything down, and it's just believed. If it's in writing, it must be true.
Yeah.
So
which it clearly isn't.
To me.
Christopher, I'd like to thank you, Christopher. You should be on the show loads and loads. So thank you for putting that in and putting that on the comments and all sorts of stuff. It's very.
But I was going to say about one of the big problems where the CPS have got themselves into is, in fact, rape accusations. And I think that one of the things, and some people might not like this, that a lot of these accusations are false.
Yeah. Well,
and the CPS,
I mean,
and the CPS, people aren't being charged with perverting the course of justice.
Well, I mean, obviously, there's going to be the serious issues of rape, obviously, of people, which obviously what happened in the case of Crystal. But then you're going to get the other people that will actually, obviously try it on. You're always going to get people. We live in a society where people are freeloaders, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they would do anything to get some money, basically. Do you know what I mean?
Or their feelings of anger and jealousy or resentment get the better of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about maybe maybe a woman did go to bed with a man, didn't like what happened, and then decided, post facto, it was rape. I mean, it's impossible to make judgments about that. Those CPS are not in any way competent. And I think that's my message at the moment. And I mean, people don't think about the CPS, do they? No,
they don't. No, because they're hidden, aren't they, really?
They're hidden. They don't know who they are. But it's the magistrates, the CPS, and the NHS psychiatrists who are sort of running the show. They're running, and they are deciding, the psychiatrists in particular, are deciding how we should behave. Yeah. They're treating it almost as if we all work for the NHS.
Yeah.
So if we don't follow their NHS guidelines in ordinary life, apparently we're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible. And I mean, it's all gone to, it's all being dealt with legally, and they've had.
But don't you think the whole system of everything that we sit in at the moment? Because I'm just going to mention a few comments here, and obviously everyone's got different opinions and all sorts, but the rise of paedophilia, basically, and there's comments here, and Crystal says disgusting the whole system is, no justice anymore. Brian Clare says look into Operation ORE, ORE. And Gemma Jane Brooks says CPS won't even charge child rapists. And
well,
you know, as Brian Clare, as we just said just now, he says, wasn't it the new shadow prime minister is guilty of protecting Savile?
Well, that's right. I mean, I just don't think these things are coming out. Because I think, understandably, most of us are sort of, reasonably middle, the average middle class or anybody. I mean, we just don't get involved with the criminal justice system. We don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And all I know is that one psychiatrist told me that with St. Anne's in this case, 30% of the people shouldn't be there. They're just finding people and stacking them to keep themselves busy in the hospital system.
It must be about stats, isn't it, at the end of the day, and KPIs and all the rest of it.
About stats, did you say?
Yeah, stats, statistics and KPIs. And yeah.
KPIs, what's that?
They're key performance indicators.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
All that old.
It's another 3-letter acronym.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean it's this tick box system that they developed, and I think it's the psychiatrists we have to blame for that, and the so-called behaviourists, because I don't know if everyone's noticed that people keep talking about behaviour on the news at the minute, and this is what these behaviourists do behind the scenes. They just want to control people's behaviour. They're not interested in their culture or their personality. It's just making people do what the so-called local authority does. But I have to say that we have a new CEO in Bournemouth Council and Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole, and he only just arrived. So he didn't know about any of this stuff. So I think that we're going to see some fireworks, I think is the proper word. They've just been left to run this system, often dragging in vulnerable people who really sort of just, they're treating them like animals, frankly. They're supposed to be NHS psychiatrists. They don't care less about the people they're dealing with.
Well, aren't we? Isn't that just a generalisation of today's world, though, in relation to people? Because realistically, a lot of people that go to work aren't really all that interested in going to work. They're not the commitment or the loyalty or the. I won't say what age I am, but I was brought up with strict code of conduct, morals, discipline, and you go and get stuck in. If you don't go and do anything, you don't have anything, basically, and so you have to go out there and do what you do. But the thing is that it's all changed, because as mad as it sounds, we have people that think, well, when I leave school, I'm going to go on Britain's Got Talent.
Be on what?
Go on Britain's Got Talent.
Oh, the talent, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's always that, I suppose. I mean, but really, given the state of the really too many people are going to university, and they're turning them all into bureaucrats. And really, what we're talking about here is what I've been talking about. It's sort of 1984, but it's the bureaucrats are created in universities. They keep saying that universities are these places where you're free to go and discuss everything, and it's all of nothing of the kind. You go to university and you have to get trained to be a bureaucrat and think like a bureaucrat. And if you don't, you just, you finish your degree and you're out of it. The people that they want, they select in these people, and I think they're just downright authoritarian. That's what I think. And I think the facts are starting to point to it. So you can sort of see why people don't want to get involved in the education, or young people don't want to get involved in it. They want to find something else, because
don't you think one of the biggest issues and one of the biggest problems in our country is the fact that we talk about behavior and motivation and all sorts. One of the biggest problems is that to a degree, we're in a very tied hand situation with these people, because they're almost bred in a way to actually not go to work, not do anything, hold their hand out and sit around and do nothing, smoke drugs and drink all day long.
Well, I think that, from what I understand it, talking of behaviour, you only get 95 quid a week on universal credit, don't you?
I have no idea what you get.
Well, I actually pay attention. I mean, I just look at it, and you only get 95 quid. So, what they're supposing is that the motivation is that because you get so little, it's going to force you to get a job. So, because a job is much better, than getting 95 quid. It's better to have 400. But, that's depends whether people really believe in the culture and the society that they're living in as to whether they want to engage with it, I suppose.
Yeah. Going back to Chris, there's 2 comments on here. Crystal Desprez says she believes this person got away with it because his family are Masons. Brian Clare said, what about when the legal courts were kicked out in the 90s? Brian Clare says, yes, I agree to behaviour. Brian Clare also says, isn't Boris bringing in the Henry VIII laws? And Crystal Desprez, I know it's a personal case, but just a generalisation. She says, yeah, rape isn't just a physical act when you cared for the person who does it. And where else we got here? Crystal Desprez says she has no faith in the legal system whatsoever. Jason McCusrow says pedos aren't new, even when you and I were kids. That's talking about me.
Well, the first thing that happened to me when I went into the music business was that I got signed by Chris Denning, who worked for Jonathan King.
Yeah.
And I thought, great, I'm signed, and that was 10cc and Genesis.
Yeah.
And it was obvious that I never went alone, but when I went to this Chris Denning's house, he used to be a Radio 1 DJ, and it was obvious that he had teenage boys in the house.
Yeah.
And it was obvious what was going on, because there was a sort of weird, sweaty atmosphere to the place. And I reported him to the police. I didn't actually make the phone call, and he was arrested the next week.
Yeah.
That was my first experience of going into the professional music business.
And of course, being in the music business and seeing what you see, been in it a long time, and you see many different things. There are certain people you wouldn't go to, and there's certain places you wouldn't go to either, would you?
Well, I mean, I almost think now that I shouldn't have gone into it. I love the music. I mean, I'm a painter, that's what I am. I paint songs.
Yeah.
And I mean, as to whether you want to go out and do massive gigs and tour all over the world with your paintings or your songs is I just make the music. That's all. It's nothing to do with wanting to be a pop star. But a lot of people go into the music business and similar business for the wrong reason. They go into it. I mean, I've probably discussed it before. They go into it for the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They don't go into it for the music.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've got to, I mean, there were bowls of cocaine in the studio. I mean, I walked out, when I saw that, to be frank, because, but there were bowls of cocaine, and I mean, and all this kind of nonsense. And that's not really what that's not what the music business is about. The music business is about, and of course, it's just turned into whatever it is now, which is sad. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of mass. I mean, you being a musician, because you play instruments and everything, obviously, and you write some amazing music as well. I mean, it must be quite sad to see what's happened to music to a degree.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's absolutely. I wouldn't. It's almost a tragedy. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm a painter, so I paint. I write songs. That's what I do. They're my, But, in terms of, when I was 17, I mean, I didn't intend to go into the music business. I got asked to go and play.
Yeah.
That was because in the early 70s, if you had an electric guitar and a car, I might add, you were in demand. And so that's because, I mean, it was, £10 a week in the early 70s. And I was getting 40 quid a night.
Yeah. Well, that's not to be sniffed at, is it?
No. And why wouldn't I do that?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I didn't mean to go to the music business. And I mean, it's just one of those things that they're offering, well, any of us, if they're offering good money, you do it, don't you? But what's behind it all, this is the problem. And I think this is really, I suppose, what, as you say, I when I find out what's going on, I don't shut up. And that's what, in particular, the academic world doesn't like. They don't like people that blow whistle. They just don't like it. You'd think they would, because they're educated and intelligent people. But I'm saying they're not educated, and intelligence can mean something else. I mean, intelligence really is just knowing stuff. Having the ability to tell what's good and what's bad, as it were, is another thing.
Yeah.
And I think these people are just trained to act a particular way, and so they just do process.
Yeah.
That's all they're about.
Yeah. And obviously music plays a massive part of people's lives, because we listen to music.
We see it, doesn't it?
you know, in whatever format, whether it's whatever genre, if you like, whatever type of music, people listen. I mean, I love everything from classical music right through to, you know, rock, right through to trance, right through to dance, and all manner of different things. Do you know what I mean?
Me too.
Yeah, because you've got to be varied, you know, in what you listen to, and I think generally a lot of people are, but you know, there is a worrying factor in relation. I'm not sticking my neck at it, but there is a worrying factor that there is subliminal messages in a lot of music we have today, which is then geared up to be with certain elements of society. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yes, I mean, it's the extent to which the music is being shaped by corporations to fit in with whatever it is that corporation, you know, wants people to think. I mean, you look at how many TV ads use pop music.
Yeah.
Whose music, you know, the music is being used rather than listened to now. I mean, I hear more pop music on TV ads than I do anywhere else. I mean, you used to go and hear new music anywhere. You could walk in a shop or walk down the high street. You don't hear any of that anymore, because I think people have got a bit bored with the whole industrial music, complex.
Yeah.
It's no longer real people making real music. It's just a load of digital toothpaste, as I like to say.
Yeah. Right. Brian Clare's added a few comments. Says spot on. Jonathan King linked with Pi and the room above the record shop, and he also says, by the way, I'm a survivor and a campaigner that changed the law in the 90s. My info is true, he says. So there you are. Well, you know, we all, in lots of ways, do our bit in whatever shape or form. Debbie Johnson says, I love T-Rex in school, real music and beautifully mystical, along with the Bowie Starman.
Yeah, I was 15.
Yeah.
No, actually, to be honest, I'm not the world's biggest David Bowie fan. Of course, he's incredibly talented. I'm not saying he's not, but I prefer Jimi Hendrix and Steely Dan.
Yeah.
But I was sitting doing my O-level homework revision on a sunny day. And I had the radio on, and it was some Starman came out up on the radio. I remember that was the first time I heard it.
Yeah. One of my favourite bands actually is The Doors.
Yeah, love it. Never had a problem. Not musical enough for me.
No.
Steely Dan, if you like, and Jimi Hendrix, both extremely musical, you know. But I love The Doors. This is the end.
Yeah. And I remember watching. Right, it always reminded me. I always remember watching on the old Grey Whistle Test. You remember that? The old Grey Whistle Test program on BBC Two.
Whispering what's Bob Harris.
Did it have Anne Nightingale on it or somebody like that?
She was on it.
And there was a new band that came on there, and it was a band from Ireland that got their first hit, first chance of going on television, and it was U2. And
I think I remember that.
You remember that? And Bono, who was laying all over the floor singing and all sorts. Quite obviously, he'd obviously been in the Dog and Duck and had a few beers before or something. But it was absolutely mad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
that's one word for it.
Yeah, but you know, another person I idolized was Prince. I think Prince is genius, absolute genius.
Yeah. He was fantastic.
Played all his own instruments, absolute genius.
Yeah. Did too many splits as well, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, you know, he had a lot of problems with record companies and all sorts of that.
Oh, God, record companies are a major problem, and none of us knew before, but they were always a major problem.
Yeah. And obviously now you look at like Britain's Got Talent or X Factor or whatever, or
you don't, in my opinion.
Or you don't, yeah, absolutely. But, you know, there is almost an academy for people to think, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go and do it. And if they've got a good voice or whatever, yes, it's a brilliant idea.
But that's what Opportunity Knocks was about. I mean, it was in those
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
That was to get artists for the working men's clubs.
Yeah.
And now Britain's Got Talent and all that is to get artists for all the cruise ships that are travelling around the world.
Yeah, well, and for the guy that runs it, Mr. Simon Cowell, who actually earns an absolute mint.
Well, yeah. Actually, he was there at Red Bus at the same time as I was in 1982. Actually, funnily enough,
really,
he was one of the yes, he was. But he was one of those people you never noticed. He was sort of nobody knew who he was. He went I think he went bankrupt at that time because he was back in that Sunita, was it?
Oh yeah, Sunita. I remember Sunita. Yeah.
Unfortunately, so do I. I'm sure it's a very nice girl. Don't get me wrong. With that record. Oh, so macho.
I remember that. Yes.
Oh, so.
Yes.
No, please spare me.
And I mean, you toured with Hot Chocolate and that must be quite with Errol Brown.
That was the top of my. That was 54 dates. It was the biggest tour ever at that time of the UK. And I mean, Errol Brown was a great artist. There's no question or doubt about that. And so, I mean, it was a great learning experience for me. But touring is absolute crap, if you excuse me saying so. I mean, it's just such hard work. And I think most musicians, pop people are coming out and admitting it now. But, it's just touring. You travel all day. You have a half an hour sound check. You've got to go away. You play for an hour and a half. And then you're all psyched up. And then you're supposed to go to bed. Be up for 8 o'clock, And these are young people for the most part, and they're just not very difficult for them. So you've got to admire the bands that I think that, for example, the Stones, it's their lifestyle.
Yeah.
But if you're just your average middle class kid like me, it was just like the closest thing to it.
Well, or you look at a band like the Who. I mean, I had a friend who lived in the same block of flats as Keith Moon, and he used to come back in. Go to work in the morning, and Keith Moon would be laying by the lift.
Yeah, we laughed, but it wasn't really funny, really.
No,
because it killed him in the end.
Yeah,
I mean, it was silly behaviour, some of it, but great records.
Yes,
just
phenomenal.
Can't get away with it. I mean, Who's Next? What a great album.
Yeah,
Live at Leeds is still.
That was brilliant album. Yeah.
They're not my favourite band, as I say, but a lot of the singles, Jumping Jack Flash and stuff like that. I Can See for Miles. Not Jumping Jack Flash, sorry. I Can See for Miles.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah, that was the Who, yeah. I mean, they made lots of good records.
And then there was...
In mono.
There was a band that made... There's a couple of bands that made quite a difference to me, and one was AC/DC with Bon Scott. If you got blood, you got it, or something like that. Their album was absolutely live. It was absolutely immense, and Aisha were quite an interesting band as well.
Aisha, they're just sort of an offshoot from was that Steve Howe, was it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The only Aisha I like is Steely Dan's album.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wasn't quite so oriented. It's a bit too much going on with that kind of music for me.
Yeah.
Well, you could take that as Steely Dan to some extent, but everybody to their own. That's what you get in a free society.
Absolutely. Gemma Jane Brooks says, I can't remember the last time a new song come on the radio and went wow like she did in the 1980s.
What was that?
Gemma says, I can't remember the last time a new song come on the radio and she went wow like she did in the 80s.
I agree. I completely agree with that. I think that's absolutely true. I think that should tell everybody everything, is that you just don't get those records coming out anymore.
No.
You just don't get them. And they weren't necessarily by people you would even like. And they weren't in themselves maybe even songs that were brilliant in all forms, but they were just so memorable and so singable,
Yeah.
Whether it was something by Simon and Garfunkel or, God knows who, they would come up with songs that were really great songs, and you just don't get great songs anymore. It's except at arthouserecords.co.uk, of course.
Absolutely, arthouserecords.co.uk, where you can actually, so you can sample your tracks there, can't you?
You can indeed. That's what people like to do these days. They tend to want us to...
And then buy them.
Well, this is what doesn't happen very much, I'm afraid, these days. And unfortunately, I'm not the only one who says that. But I was always a pub gig guy and a club gig guy. You could get there with the, get down with the, you got your audience close. I mean, that's the whole thing with touring with Hot Chocolate. The audience is, 100 yards away or whatever it was. And it's just not the same when you're playing like that. But if you just want to be big, if your only intention is to be big and famous, then I guess that's what you want. You know, you want to go on big tours. But I was just one of the little guys.
Yeah, but you're still there doing it, aren't you? After all these years.
Well, I'm still writing songs, and I notice lots of other people aren't. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't know why some people, even Neil Young, who I love, he hasn't written a decent song since 1971.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney doesn't seem to write any songs anymore, to be fair. You know, what happened to all these songs? Well, where did it all go? I mean, I've been writing songs for 40 years. It doesn't leave you. So where were all these songs coming from before?
Well, that's right, because even writing a song, you explain it really well, actually. Writing a song is painting words, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's your canvas. It's your piece of paper.
Canvas. Yeah, it's just exactly the same process, except it's in a different medium.
Yeah.
And that's all that it amounts to. You're creating an effect for somebody to take on board. And I mean, that's all there is to it. So I don't see why somebody could paint when they were 22 and suddenly they can't paint anymore. Why?
No.
Perhaps they. I mean, I'm not talking about Paul McCartney. Don't know. But perhaps they weren't really painting themselves. I don't know. You know,
it does make you wonder, doesn't it? It does make you wonder.
Indeed.
And
but there you go.
You know, I remember in Glastonbury a few years ago, there was God blimey, names escape me, but one of the head guys of Led Zeppelin, can't remember his name. It's gone out of my head completely.
John Paul. Which one? John Bonham Carter?
No, it was.
Led Zeppelin.
I think it might have been him. But I mean, they're over there, and it was absolutely immense. They were an amazing band as well. Debbie Johnson says, "What a shame for the children today. Where is the creativity and something they can remember as I did in the 70s?"
Yeah, I'm just thinking that something has happened. I think maybe everybody thinks everyone should work for the NHS and get a degree or something like that, and you know.
Plant, that was one. Robert Plant, sorry, that was who I was trying to say.
Robert Plant, yeah, there was a program about him on the other day. I watched it.
And Jason McCusborough says, I couldn't believe when Amy Winehouse died after just being on the scene for a few years and got all the media coverage, when a legend like Gary Moore died at the same time and got no coverage at all.
No, but I mean, she's mucking around with drugs.
Yeah, well, she was in the drug scene, wasn't she? And mucking about with Matey Boy, the guy that went in the Big Brother house or whatever his name, Pete Doherty.
That was the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but in retrospect, when I think about the people I met, you know, and I don't mean everybody, but just not people that I knew personally as a friend. But they're not all a brilliant bunch of people, to be honest. If you, well, you know, if I'd known what I'd known, I suspect I would never have got involved in it. If you know, I just sat at home and painted songs. You know, if I'd known what the people were like, but that's true of the CPS. And Laurie, you know, you go into everything as an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old with, you know, eyes shining, don't you? And thinking, this is what I want to do, it's going to be great or something. And you find out that there are so many people in any large organisation are just corrupt, you know, they're old lags, you know. The charge says you did such and such. But, yeah, I'll tell you, one last thing I have to say is that you think that you go and get a defence solicitor. When you go to a defence solicitor, half of these solicitors firms are in contact with the CPS. You know, they're outposts of the CPS. And that's really just the same with music. You don't know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, you think you're just getting signed up to something, and actually you're just getting involved in a whole load of trouble.
Yeah.
But, this has been fantastic.
I'll tell you what, Robert, it's been absolutely brilliant. I always love you coming on. You bring a really crescendo of different concepts, ideas, and you know, it's really good. You know, you've come on my shows for years.
I'm always happy to come and chat to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robert Luther Smith is the man's name.
Thank you.
And he is a can you it's Art House Records, isn't it? Art House Records.
You should know by now.
I know.
Art House Records. arthouserecords.co.uk, and all the music's on there, and my video of filling Hole in My Heart, which you will need to watch.
Wow. Yeah.
I'll speak to you soon then, Clint.
Fantastic. And if you want to get hold of him, you can get hold of him on Facebook and all the normal channels, as well as his website and that as well. It's been great. Thank you very much, Robert.
See you later.
And we'll speak soon. Thanks a lot. Bye. There we are. Robert Luther Smith, given a different idealism on today's world, if you like, in relation to the CPS, in relation to corruption. I do feel, and it's only my concept and idea, if you like, is the fact that I think we've lost everything in our reality because everything slid away. And when I say it slid away, it's because people don't care anymore. There's no care in this world, in our country. And things slip under the radar. And I think it's because humans are having to process so much stuff on top of something like COVID that comes along as well. But that's on top of paying the bills. And that's on top of looking after children. And that's on top of trying to have a relationship. And that's on top of having to go out and do things all the time. And people are being squeezed and squeezed and squeezed so much in our society here, which I feel causes massive resentment and division within people. And that's where people like myself and other people come in that have a spiritual understanding. They come to the conclusion that the system they live in isn't right in one shape or form. And they're looking through a window out into another opportunity, something else that's there that they're not seeing. And as you see it, and as you give it to them, it comes down to one thing. It was mentioned earlier on by Barbara. It's about what you are inside yourself. It's about your belief. It's about you. And you know, with everything that I've just spoke about that we have in this life, and as we get older and older and older, it gets more and more and more and more and more complicated, more difficult, more scientific or technology with computers and everything else. And you know, that's on top of kids yelling. That's on top of how do I pay my bills? That's on top of, you know, many other things, you know, that's out there as well. And on top of the fear-driven what we have in our reality as well, in COVID and everything else as well. So, you know, it is absolutely massive. And I do feel it's broken. I do feel everything's broken. And I think it's all scattered all over the floor. And there's a lot of people here that are in a very disenfranchised place, I feel, that have not fitted in anyway. But now everything's moved and the goalposts moved. Then I feel that what's happened is that we're then looking for the new place where we're meant to sit. Well, that place where you're meant to sit is very much down to you inside yourself, because you are no different to everyone else because we're all linked. Christopher Free agrees. Gemma Jane Brooks says art is now discouraged at school as classed as not useful. It's very sad. It's rare now for kids to even play an instrument like we did, like I did, you know, very badly, by the way. But yeah, you don't get it. I mean, they're more likely to have a keyboard or whatever. Gemma Jane Brooks says, with no painters, writers, actors, and musicians, the world would be a boring, sad place. And you're right, it would be. Brian Clare has sent me, and this is something that he would like to send out, obviously. I'll read everyone's opinion or whatever they want to say on here. Brian Clare says, dear your MP, this is something you would write to your MP. I'm sure you get it on his page. As a resident of whatever, this country, obviously, and friends, family, and work colleagues are extremely concerned about the possibility of a second lockdown. This would be certain suicide for the country because the fear of this COVID-19 has and will overtaken the danger of the virus. We cannot live in fear. Thanks to mainstream media for the foreseeable future. Let's ignore the scientists and their ridiculous virus modeling and get this country back on. I don't disagree with you, because I do feel I've just recovered from flu, not coronavirus, it was flu. And I think we got to differentiate between, I still got a bit of it. We need to differentiate between fear and what's real. Because at the end of the day, we all carry an enormous billions of diseases. You go and kiss somebody, you are intermingling your viruses with their viruses. And our bodies have immune systems. Now, obviously, a lot of people, which are very sad that has died, but a lot of people that have died have got other factors that is related to them getting it in the first place. That's not an excuse or anything. But I want to know, all these people demonstrating on the streets, they're demonstrating on the streets for not because they're stupid. They have their own understanding that actually I don't want to wear a mask. I want to breathe fresh air. And, I want people to actually tell me the truth of what is going on rather than this misinformation and blindsided way that we have at the moment. I mean, it's so pathetic in lots of ways, and I'm not highlighting it because it is the government. It could be Liberal or Labour or whatever. But, on GMTV, Good Morning Britain or whatever on ITV or Piers Morgan, it's been 140 days since a Conservative MP has been on that programme. And it has how many millions listening, watching it or whatever. It's disgusting. It really is absolutely disgusting. Christopher Spree says, fortunately, my youngest plays 4 instruments at the age of 9. Today, I taught her the Pink Panther. Doodle-a-doo. No, that's not the Pink Panther, is it? And she says, our right to choose and our own sovereignty. The world is a very messed up place, but it is also a place where the truth is coming out. And when you get mass demonstrations of people on the street because they're saying we've had enough of this, this is not just about COVID. It's about how we're shown things. And this is breaking a system in a way which is broken anyway, and patching it together in a different way. And that's got to start by education. And that's got to start by actually looking at the real thing. When I left school, I knew nothing about life. People leave school and they know nothing about life. And if they're lucky enough and they go on to college or university, they get grants and things like that, they're in debt then. They're in debt, and people say, oh, it's all right. They can, you're given 60 grand or whatever, and you go and study something, brain surgery or whatever, in biology in a university. You go to King's College or whatever, you get 60 grand and all sorts, and you have to pay that back. But they say it's all right because actually you don't have to pay anything back unless you hit a threshold of 16 grand or whatever. Have you ever tried to work in London on 16 grand and actually live somewhere? It's an impossibility, absolute impossibility. The whole thing's wrong. Where other countries have a different idea. They have a different idea where people don't pay anything, and we're just investing them because all we do is print more money. And again, I'm not saying it because it's Conservative government, but we do live in a society where we've had 10 years of austerity, and now they throw money at everyone. And it's, you've got to weigh all these things up because, we could have had it easier rather than harder, if you like. And I know that we need to understand how we do things. I mean, we can't just hold a hand out and we get everything. There's got to be some crossover or exchange, if you like. But within that exchange, there's got to be the issue of fairness. And that does not exist in our reality. No one cares about homeless people. They're on the streets, hundreds of thousands of them, all over our country, all 4 countries. Anyway, I'll get off soapbox now. Christopher Spree says, or as the song says, we have to fight for the right to party. We have to fight for the right to party, yeah. Well, the Inview, as I said before, is going through a lot of changes. So next year we are looking at renaming it, rebranding it, if you like, and we will be bringing music as well as guests into the mix. That's what's coming next year. I'm not sure when, at what point. We got off to a rocky start tonight on here, but we've now evened out. And thank you so far for all your questions and everything else. We have got up next an amazing guest. Hasn't been on for a very long time. And I was celebrating last night with my technical division, head of a technical division, who is putting through all of the new ideas and concepts for this show, which I feel are absolutely brilliant. I feel the person has a massive vision and understanding of what's needed. And it's a great person to have on board, and I'm very grateful. And we were in a little old pub in Moorland, which I know is frequented by Lieutenant Kit Kat from the Moorland Police Department. We didn't see any goats, but he is due to come on at any minute. And I know we're running a little bit over, but, well, we do anyway. It's something we do on the show. So hopefully, Mr. Lieutenant Kit Kat is listening right now, and we'll get on the phone. I'm not actually drinking alcohol tonight, by the way. I have a cup of tea here. Look at that. That's quite remarkable, isn't it? And while we wait for Lieutenant, we don't need to wait for him. He's contacting me right now. Let's see what Lieutenant Kit Kat's got to say about everything and anything. Hello, are you there, Lieutenant Kit Kat? Hello, how are you?
Yeah, well, I'm fine, not too bad.
Were you called out to a commotion in the mall and Thatcher's Arms last night?
No, not tonight. No,
last night.
Thatcher's Arms, but a bit later than you.
Sorry?
A bit later than you. Was it the Thatcher's last night? A bit later than you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you know, and obviously.
We booked the back room, you see.
Did you? What were you doing in the back room?
Yeah. Well, I'll explain that in a little bit because what I was up to is can't explain too well.
Okay.
Because don't let too many people to Moreland know about it, or Midsummer Moreland.
Well, there is a Midsummer Moreland.
See, they're quite last.
You were meant to be on 3 weeks ago. I do apologise, but I haven't had COVID, but a flu, and we're sorting out the new system. And as you can see, probably I've had a hair transplant and that since then.
Well, we've had a bit of trouble there with the goat mafia.
The goat mafia, because you've been on before and you spoke about this. There's only you, ain't there, and another that's always on holiday, isn't it?
Yeah, well, she's back now, but she's on the phone to her boyfriend in the other room.
Oh wow! So she's allowed to do that while she's on duty?
Well, you know what it's like in Midsummer Moreland. Everything's laid back, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is, I suppose. Yeah. And what's her name?
Her name is Cynthia.
Not Payne.
No, just Cynthia.
Okay, well, that's quite a good name, yeah. And it's you and her, is it?
Cynthia, I don't know. That's what she says. Because
Cynthia,
she was
found.
Know. Yeah, she was found, and she was taken in by foster parents.
All right.
And and she was brought up by them. And
what by who? What goats?
No. This is a new posting by her.
All right.
You see, if you remember, a little while back, I had to. She went away. She went to one of those big Caribbean islands, like.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember that because I asked you where she was.
Yeah, you remember that, but ain't gonna do that joke again, are we?
No, we're not gonna do that joke again. No.
No. That'll be a bit silly, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be a bit silly. I mean, how have you got on out there, Lieutenant Kit Kat? And obviously, goats, as far as we're aware, can't get COVID-19, if it even exists. But they could probably get goat. They probably get goat flu.
No, well, I don't know what they get, but I mean, we had a bit of trouble a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
See, my informant, he came up and told me that there's been a kidnapping.
Really? What, kidnapping of a goat?
Yeah, kidnapping of a goat. Yeah, in a discotheque.
A disco? Is this well? Now, for people listening out there, they probably think we're on some sort of wild acid trip here or whatever. But these goats actually have a whole. It's underground, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's all underground. They got nightclubs and that sort of thing, like underground.
And what's the nightclub called? Is it called the Goat It?
Yeah, the club's called the Goatesque.
The Goatesque. So. I mean, it must be quite funny when you go down. Do you have to put a goat's costume on to go down there?
Well, I come to that a little bit later.
Okay.
Well, what happened was one of the prominent guys, or goats, I should say, in the Moreland goat mafia, he was napping in one of the private rooms in the club.
Right.
And he wasn't seen for a while, and then someone went and had a look when he was locking up, and they had a look in there, and they see he wasn't there. He disappeared, and there was a little note on there saying you've been kidnapped by Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid kidnapped him.
Yeah, Billy the Kidnapping King. Yeah, apparently what it was all about was because later on, in other words, last Saturday, there was a big match going on. See, there was a cup final.
All right.
Well, not cup final. It was a bag final, really. I suppose you call it.
Is this Goats playing football? Is it?
Well, it was. He was the goalkeeper. You see.
Well, he's a goalkeeper.
He was a goalkeeper. He was a goalkeeper.
Do they stand on 2 legs or 4?
No, he was goalkeeper for the Moreland Mohawks.
The Moreland Mohawks.
Yeah, Moreland Mohawks.
And do they dribble well?
Yeah, it's a professional hoofball team.
A hoop, not football, but a hoofball.
Hoofball, yeah, but they ain't got feet, have they?
Well, no, obviously not. But they must kick it with their hooves, do they?
Well, yeah, he was a goalkeeper for the Moreland. Yeah, I'm trying to remember now. I mean, it's been a while. I've had quite a few drinks and that since then. It's been party all the way because you won the cup. See?
Oh wow! So you went drinking goat juice.
No, I tell you what happened was, you see, he was kidnapped, and the leader of the goat mafia, he come over to me because I want to remember, see, because I
and because you're a lieutenant,
you're not breaking the law or nothing, because what they give, you remember anyway from previous times, about the drug they manufacture, like it's not illegal, that sort of thing. But
what drugs are these? What do goats take?
Well, you see, it's a special grass, you see.
Oh, right.
They eat it, and the milk that's given out, when the female goats give it out, it's then frozen. And when it's frozen, it's smashed up, and it crystallizes, and then it's into, I don't know, they've got some kind of machinery, so it's into powder, and it's almost, it's a hallucinogenic drug, that sort of thing.
Really?
But it's all perfectly legal because it comes out from the body, you see.
Wow. That's incredible.
I mean,
but obviously you don't go arresting them, do you?
No.
You'd have a problem arresting lots of goats anyway. There's got a lot of legs, haven't they?
See, well, anyway, this this hoofball match, it was against... it was against the Bridgewater Braves, and
oh wow!
Was
that another lot of goats?
But I had put in a few pounds since the last time I put on this goat suit and that sort of thing. So I managed to squeeze into it.
Did you burst out?
Well, a little bit, yeah. Wow. But it made me look like a goat more, didn't it?
Wow. Yeah. It must have been hard though, because you're in a plastic suit, aren't you?
Yeah, we won it. And
what was the score?
And the big prize was 10 bags of Super Grow grass.
Wow, well that's good.
Well, it is because of Super Grow grass. It's rarity, that is.
Wow.
So what you do is when you get back, they plant it all underneath. The certain areas underneath the ground. They plant it there under lights. Like some people would do with their marijuana and that sort of thing. But they do it with the grass under there because it's a Super Grow and it's ultra quality.
You just put the stuff on and it grows in 2 seconds.
When the nanny goats drink it, the nanny goats eat it, the milk they give out, then it's super concentrated.
Right.
So when it's frozen afterwards and then it's crushed and they've gone through the process, they got this super drug, you see.
And
of course, it's all above board.
It's all above board. And are you involved in the operation of that?
No, not involved in that. No, I don't push any buttons or pull any levers, nothing like that.
No, or hooves.
It's my job. Well, I'm a police officer of the law.
Yeah.
And it's my job to uphold the law. But when there's no law being broken...
Well, is there any laws for goats?
Well, of course there isn't.
No. So I suppose.
But there is laws for hallucinogenic drugs and all that sort of thing being manufactured and whatever.
Yeah.
I have to keep it the way it is, and because if there's any questions to be answered or something like that, well, sounds silly, then you're going to get all sorts of people coming down, and then.
Well, that's true. And obviously, when you go down to the bar, because they obviously drink goat something, don't they?
Yeah.
You go underground, you go into the bar. How do you communicate with these goats?
Well, that's easy because they speak English.
Do they?
Yeah.
Are they very hello? How are you, Lieutenant Kit Kat?
No, they speak with a Somerset accent, don't they?
Oh, right, yeah.
They're down in Somerset, aren't they?
Yeah, but how do... This must be some massive experimentation going on.
No, not really, because they can speak. Crikey, when there's humans, if you walk in the field, when there's goats and that in there, just think what would happen if they turn around and spoke to them in English.
Well,
they shoot themselves.
They would. They'd run away, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so they don't. They don't do that.
So they make these noises as a cover up.
Well, they speak themselves. They've got their own language with these noises, but when they speak to me, they can speak normally. I
mean, there is some comments here. Gemma Jane Brooks says Lieutenant Kit Kat, and she said, "Have a break, have a Kit Kat," and which I'm sure you've heard many times.
Yeah,
and she says the goats keep getting disqualified for eating the balls and all the equipment, nets, and kit.
Oh, well, I didn't say what they used to kick, did I?
Oh, right. What do they use for kit then?
Well, it's kind of like a ball, but it isn't. It's square.
A square ball?
Yeah.
Wow.
If you can imagine it's square. It's made of hemp, that sort of thing, because you can't use leather, crikey.
Well, no, they're hooves, wouldn't it?
Well, it's like kicking one of their cousins around, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, that wouldn't be right, would it? No.
It would. So it's a hemp, and it's square.
That must make it quite difficult to head and things, because you could knock yourself out.
Well, they don't hit it.
Oh, they don't hit it, so it stays on the ground.
No, well, it does, because you got the hooves. They got a groove in the hoof, haven't they?
It's got a groove in the hoof. Wow.
Goat's hoof. In a goat's hoof, there's a groove there, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah, so what's it? Pick it up and run with it.
Basically, yeah.
Wow. And the other goats have to beat them up.
And then what they do then is when the other one's on the left wing or something like that, it's just giving you basics here, is they can just kick their leg up and it flies out and they catch it in their hoof the other side. You see him run with it. Right. So they don't actually kick.
They just throw it in the air.
Yeah. And then, if they're going to have a go at goal, they just get it in their hoof and then just flick it.
Right. And there's no goalkeeper, I take it, is there?
Well, yeah, that's what I was doing.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you were doing, yeah. Was
in my boot suit, wasn't I?
Yeah, but surely you can save a square ball, can't you?
Oh, yeah, that's no problem, that's no problem.
It's got to be easier than a round ball.
Well, it is actually, yeah. Because it's got the size, you can just grip it, there's no problem at all.
And what about referees? Is there a referee in this game?
Oh, yeah, there's a referee.
And he's a goat?
No, he's a badger.
Oh, dear. So you got a badger refereeing a goat match?
Yeah.
That
sounds weird. I know it sounds weird to you.
Is that actually, is that underground or is it above board?
No, it's on a field. Oh,
right. Okay.
You do it on a field, not on board. What's up with you, man?
Well, you wouldn't know. It could be anything, couldn't it?
Well, it's all done on grass. It's done, but it's not done on proper grass.
Well, no, because the goats would stop and eat it, wouldn't they?
Exactly that. It's done on. It's a sort of like semi-synthetic,
Right.
whatever. It gives this odor off, you see. So they're not interested in putting their heads down, so they can smell it.
Yeah.
And when they're running around, that sort of thing, they're not interested in it.
So, I mean, how on earth do these train to be hoof footballers? Hoofballers, yeah.
Hoofballers, they're professional, these guys, I tell you. They just won South of England Championship.
Really? Well, so they travelled around a bit. How do they get on when they go and play in places like, I don't know, Bream Down? Because the goats there don't come off the cliffs. Do they go and play?
They don't play Bream Down, do they?
Don't they?
Say they won't come off the cliffs, will they?
No. Well, I wonder if they played on the side of a cliff.
No, that'd be a bit dangerous, that, wouldn't it? Oh, God, you've been down there. Oh, so how do they stand up on that side of the cliff?
I have no idea how they stand up on there at all. And it's the same in Cheddar.
It's so steep, isn't it?
Cheddar as well. They do the same in Cheddar.
Oh, that's where Ball Mohawks, that's where they train, that is, at Cheddar. They got to run up the gorge.
Right.
This is about 2:30 in the morning. They do it for an hour. They got to run all the way up the gorge, across the top, then back again, then back down the road.
Wow.
Because they got to keep their hooves sharp, you see.
Yeah.
So they can stick in the grass a lot and they can run quicker. It's all scientific, see?
It sounds it. It's revolutionary. I didn't even know there was hoofball and that goats play football. Gemma Jane Brooks says kidnapping is a crime, stealing baby goats.
Well, it is, but secretly, we know where he's being kept. We found that out shortly afterwards.
All right. Where was he?
But I can't go into that. It's somewhere in Bridgewater.
Okay.
I can't really go into that too much because they didn't really want him in the team anyway. So I don't know whether it's something which they orchestrated themselves.
Right.
Or not. I don't know, because they knew that I used to play in goal, you see, years ago. And
isn't there an unfair advantage having you on their team?
Well, I don't know, but I'm not a goat, see, so...
Well, no, but I mean, they're breaking the rules of hoofball, aren't they?
No, well, there ain't no rules like that.
Oh, right.
Any goat.
Do you get many goat punch-ups?
No, no. You don't get many goat punch-ups. Can you just imagine a goat standing up on its hind legs?
Yeah, I know.
Kangaroo,
yeah.
Well,
they could headbutt each other, couldn't they?
Well, they do. You do get occasional headbutt, but they get sent off.
Do they?
Yeah, Birmingham Badger is quite strict on that, and the linesmen always flag.
Badger.
Yeah, Birmingham Badger. I ain't told you the names of the linesmen, have I?
No, what's their names?
Eric the Fox.
Eric the Fox, yeah.
He's on. He's the left right, and the one on the right is Joshua the Squirrel.
Joshua the Squirrel. He's a bit small. He could get squashed, couldn't he?
Yeah, but he's quick. You see, he catches up with the play because it's a very fast-paced game.
I bet it is. Yeah. How many did you win by?
You can't have like a sloth on one side. Is a lines person, can you? You can't have like a cow on the other side because they'll never catch up with it. Break the play, would they?
Well, I suppose having a cow in a goats team would be illegal, wouldn't it?
Not on the team, on running the line.
All right. Yeah, but I mean, the cow would stop and eat the grass, wouldn't they?
Not this grass.
No, it's artificial. Yeah. Psychic Pirate Michael Vickery, who I was listening. He says
it was his birthday the other day, wasn't it?
It was his birthday the other day.
Happy birthday the other day, and I wish him happy birthday again. Happy birthday, Psychic Pirate.
Happy birthday, Psychic Pirate. Yeah. He says, do the goats have to go in a tree for penalties?
Do they have to go what?
Do goats have to go in a tree for penalties?
Only if they want a wee.
Well, yeah, they can't.
But
I suppose are they actually grass trained? Because goats have a tendency to be quite loose in their number twos, aren't they?
It's a very strict regime, you see, before they go on the field of play. Hours before, they can't eat anything.
Right. So it means nothing comes out.
Exactly that. Yeah, nothing comes out. And at half time, all they can do is drink. They can't eat anything. They can't even have the oranges, that we used to do years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing like that. And if one of them gets injured, this is the funny part. It creased me up in goal, this did. Right?
Oh, dear.
You get oh God, I can't help laughing. You get Reginald Rat.
Reginald Rat.
Reginald Rat. He comes flying across the surface, from the locker room or whatever you want to call it, changing room. He comes flying across there with this little mini bucket, right, with a sponge in it.
Wow.
With a bit of. So when the goat's lying down,
injured.
Injured or something, he just chucks the sponge on this goat, and the goat gets up as quick as you know.
Really? What's in that water?
I don't know, but I mean, he won't let us know about that. But
wow,
oh, crikey, yeah, it is a wonder to be. It's a wonder to behold, and there were several thousand people there watching.
Really? What other goats?
There are loads of goats from all around the county and all around from the south.
Really? What about COVID?
Well, there is no such thing as COVID. Not with goats, anyway.
All right. So they don't get colds and that.
No, they don't get colds as we know it. No.
All right. What do they get then?
They get goat flu.
Goat
All that
flu.
is, they're just laid up for about 2 days or something, and then literally with all four legs pointing up to the sky, and they're just like that,
Is that how they lay on their backs with their feet in the air?
Yeah, that's it.
Doesn't the blood go to their head?
I don't know. I'm not a goat.
No, yeah, obviously. I mean, there's so much more to knowing about goats, isn't there? What I'm really fascinated, you had this and you won, so you've been celebrating on whatever it is you're drinking. And what's interesting is when you go down the club or whatever, obviously these goats in the field, when normal human beings approach them, they're just whatever they do.
They don't want them to know that they can speak.
No,
right.
So when you go down the club, then they say, "Oh, hello, Lieutenant Kit Kat. Would you like whatever?"
Well, not quite like that. And they go, that's it. Would you like? And say, oi, you want a beer?
All right. They sell beer in the goats club.
Sort of accent sort of thing, So because they're Somerset goats, So when you play against Cornish goats, they got a broad Cornish accent. When you play against Welsh goats, they got a Welsh accent. Yeah. Oh, that is funny. That.
Do you play goats from other countries?
No, it's not international.
Oh,
not yet. Anyway, can you imagine how a goat's going to get on an airplane?
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe there'd be a specially adapted goat plane.
Well, you can just imagine. We can't. I got this bus load of goats, and I'm going over to Heathrow Airport. And they say, "What are you taking? You can't take livestock." I say, "This is the Midsummer Moorland Hoof professional football team. They're playing an international over in Greece." What do you think they do to me? Eh?
I really don't know, to be honest. I think that you could be locked up for a little while. I'll tell you,
just a little bit.
I'll tell you, it's a little bit out of the bag here because Gemma Jane Brooks, you mentioned Birmingham Badger. Gemma Jane Brooks said she knows who Birmingham Badger is, and he lives near her.
Well, he does commute. Yeah, I know he commutes. So
the Badger gets on a train.
Well, he probably gets on.
Well, he wouldn't want to be in the road, would he? Because he'd more likely get run over.
It probably gets on the badger rail. Yeah.
Badger rail. Is that rail just for badgers, or can goats use it as well?
No, goats are too big, aren't they? Come on.
Oh yeah, badgers are smaller, but badgers have got a lot of wisdom, haven't they? I suppose that's why he's a referee, isn't it?
Well, that's it. Well, you need a lot of knowledge and a lot of understanding. And
I bet you do, yeah.
Badgers have more of that than most people understand.
Wow. I don't know if Gemma Brooks has actually seen Birmingham Badger out in his referee kit, but he's obviously goes all over the place refereeing.
Oh, God, you don't want to see him out of his kit.
You don't want to see him out? Well, I'm sure nobody wants to see him out of his kit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he looks like a real badger.
He looks like a real badger. Well, he is a badger, isn't he?
Exactly. Yeah, he just looks like a badger. He's
yeah, but he wouldn't be without his kit, because he'd be naked badger then, and that could almost be illegal, couldn't it?
Well, I suppose so. Well, you ever seen a badger with something like a weird bloody step haircut or anything like that? I'll tell you what, you see the moorland goats, because they're mohawks, moorland mohawks. They got Mohicans.
Have they really?
Heads.
Do they do a hacker? Do they do a hacker before they play?
No, they don't do.
They all stand there. Like,
no, nothing like that. They just look at each other, they get in a huddle, and they just stare at each other.
Right. Well, that's sort of bonding, I suppose, and they're sort of telling them that they're going to win.
Every one of them knows what their job is. Like, they just stare at each other.
Wow. Well, that could be.
To say, and I have been privileged to be involved in this. Obviously, because I was goalkeeper, and I just wondered why. I asked the skipper what was going on. He said, "Well, basically, we just stare at each other because even though we're not telepathic, we're sort of, because we're staring at each other in this circle, we're all looking at each other, so as if to say, you know your role, you know your role, you know your role, you know your role, and so on. So you don't need to shout up or anything like that. So what happens at the end? The skipper goes, yep.
What's he do? He goes, yep.
Yep.
Right. Okay. What's that mean?
That means game on.
Oh, right. Oh, okay. Yeah. And obviously, I mean, this is a square ball. I mean, I know. But how do they tackle? So if you've got the opposition, the Bridgewater, whatever they're called, yeah, I mean, how do they get the ball off of one of the Moorland Midsummer Night Dream people?
Moorland Mohawks.
That's the one, yeah.
Man. You been listening?
I have, yes.
How? Because they tackle them. Because they can't run at full pelt. They got this ball between their hooves, can they?
Well, no, they'd be disadvantaged. They'd fall over, wouldn't they?
Sort of like running on three legs, aren't they?
Well, that'd be a bit strange, wouldn't it? Because they'd fall over.
No, of course they won't. Because they put their hoof down every now and then, when they're running. Can't run at full pelt. They put it down gingerly so the ball doesn't pop out. Sometimes it does. Then the opposition can get it. Other times the opposition can tackle them. You see, they just kick it and it would come off and it would go bouncing around here, then everywhere.
A square ball, yeah.
To time it right before the edge of the square, so the edge of the square can go in their hoof. Then they start running.
Wow.
It is an obstacle, to tell you to watch.
Well, it is. Looks like it is. Yeah, it sounds quite an amazing game of goofball.
Goofball, yeah, it is.
Gemma Jane Brooks says goat flu is very similar to man flu, apparently. Obviously Gemma Jane Brooks has got an insider knowledge in what's going on with the goat hoofball in the country, because she obviously lives very near Birmingham Badger, the referee.
No, I think she's just applying a little bit of logic, because when I said the goat flu, the goats are laid up like for a couple of days
on their backs with their legs in the air.
man flu. You only got to have a sniffle. Oh, I got man flu. Oh, I can't go to work. I got to stay at home. I got to stay in bed and watch TV all day.
Yeah. Well, that's enough to drive you mad.
Yeah.
But I suppose, I mean, you wouldn't get that with goats, would you? Because they wouldn't sit and watch TV all day, would they?
No, they won't watch TV all day. No, they don't do that. They just look at what's above them.
Well, the sky.
Well, yeah, it could be the sky, but it could be revolving. It could be going round and round and round.
Really?
See,
what, the sky? Well, if they're dizzy
and
they bash their head, I suppose, yeah.
No, this is when they're lying down on their backs, you see.
Oh, right, yeah, but I don't think it's healthy. I mean, it's a bit of a strange thing to see as well. A lot of goats laying on their back with their hooves in the air.
Well, you don't see them, do you?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't see them, no, because they're underground.
Oh, right. Do you have any wombles down there as well?
No wombles. I think they're restricted to Wimbledon Commons, I remember.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Michael Psychic Pirate Vickery says, is there a problem with steroid use in goats?
Well, not steroids as such, no. But, when I mentioned about the legal drug, which they got, maybe you didn't hear about this earlier, but, the special grass, normal grass, you can get, but it's only like you need an awful lot, and you need a huge amount to get this sort of drug, right? Because basically, if he's listening, Psychic Pirate, what they do is the nanny goats they eat it, right? And then, of course, they give the milk. This milk is then frozen, and while it's frozen, it's then crushed and then powdered, right? There's this little secret ingredient, which I ain't going to go into, which is added to it, and it turns like it's to dust.
Wow.
And they sniff it, right? And it's like a hallucinogenic drug.
Have you had any? It sounds like you might have had some.
But, no. I'm just having a couple of Cornish rattlers.
Oh, right. Okay. Have you been tested for them?
What, Cornish rattlers? Yeah, I don't need to be tested for them.
Gemma Jane Brooks said, has he been tested for TB?
TB?
Yeah.
What's that? Tummy and bowel syndrome?
Well, it could be T or it could be tuberculosis, isn't it? In animals, isn't it?
TB. There's GB.
GB? What's that? Goat? Whatever.
Goat balls.
Goat balls. And
goat balls.
Have you got a problem sometimes? Because
you see that's the problem sometimes. If a player's got goat balls, sometimes you need to go and have surgery.
What, and have his balls removed?
No, a goat ball. It sort of grows, and it moves down to the leg.
Right.
And sometimes they have to have it surgically removed by the goat surgeon.
My God. And it's quite a big operation, I should imagine.
It's not too bad. It only takes about 10 minutes or something like that, and the goat gets on its way. Just sew it up. They're not like people. That sort of thing. They can withstand pain.
What about because unfortunately we live in unscrupulous times, and obviously you've got restaurants all over the country really that specialise in goat meat and things like that, don't they? And eating all parts of a goat actually. So how do you get away from them being kidnapped?
That's where the goat mafia come in.
Ah, and do the goat mafia carry guns or branches?
No, they don't carry guns. They don't need to carry guns.
Right. What's their weapon then?
Their weapon is psychology.
Right.
Yeah,
so these are highly skilled, mind-controlled goats.
No, not really, because you got to remember is people never heard or never seen goats speak to them.
No, I suppose they haven't.
So
No.
when the goat mafia come up against these sort of people, they just say, "Oi, F off," and they look at each other and they think, "God, we're onto something. Whatever. What's going on? This can't be real. We must be tripping."
Yeah, that goats talk
So
to
they
me.
run away. They go away. See?
Yeah, but don't they go away and think, I'm going to go back and see if I can get any more words out of them?
No, because they report it right to their highest, their officers.
Well, and then that turns up on your desk.
They tell me to silly, we laying you off work for 2 weeks.
Or it turns up on your desk and you throw it in the bin.
They don't go at my desk because I'm just a simple country police lieutenant. You see,
Yeah.
this is what it's all about. It's just keeping the low profile.
Well, is there much crime down that way in the Moreland region? Not with goats or anything else?
Not really.
What? How do you have any problem with ants?
Ants?
Yeah.
No, we don't have any problem with them.
What about hedgehogs?
Hedgehogs, no problem with hedgehogs because they're in training. They're in training for hoofball officials. So,
right. Yeah, I suppose they would be. Yeah, how silly
ants,
of me.
No, I don't have any problem with ants. Oh, God, don't start me on the ants because that's a totally different thing altogether. They're great supporters of the hoofball team.
Are they? So all the ants go and watch hoofball?
Oh, yeah.
They've got to be careful that they're not eaten by an animal there, aren't they?
No, they've got to be careful because we'll be catching them soon because they sneak under. You see, because they're so small, they can sneak under and they come in and watch for nothing.
Right. That's immense.
It is, but I mean, there will be some kind of stringent plan going on there. I'm leaving it to. Oh God, I can't remember what his name is now. He's one of the. Not propaganda is the wrong word. One of the commercial. That's it. One of the commercial advisors to the
commercial advisor
hoofball team. Social advisor, like that sort of thing.
Right.
And they're leaving it to him, and he's going to go and talk to the ant community and see if we can strike up some kind of deal with them because
that's just immense.
It is. And we got 5 squirrels in school as well. It's all professional bloody setup. You see, it's 5 squirrels we got now. Wanted to be officials at the hoofball team.
Well, that's quite incredible, really. Gemma Jane Brooks has gone back to Wombles, and she says no Wombles as they're wandering free. And she says Birmingham Badger. I don't know. She just wrote Birmingham Badger. I think she's just reminding you that she knows who he is. And Gemma Jane Brooks says that depends how big the balls are.
Right, the balls on a goat, they don't grow that big.
I've never looked at a goat's balls.
The size of a golf ball, but once it gets down to the leg, it can be quite cumbersome. Especially if a goat's trying to run with the ball. He's got a ball in.
Especially if he
in the hoof of his left foot, say, and he's trying to run, and he's got this like golf ball size lump in his right leg.
Yeah,
and he can't. He's going to run too well. So,
well, no, but I mean, and also Gemma says they have tracking devices.
Tracking devices? What, the balls?
No, the goats.
Oh, the goats? No, they don't have tracking devices.
Have they got mobile? Have they got mobile goat phones?
No, they don't have that. They got mobile laptops. That's all they need.
They've got mobile laptops.
They got laptops. Yeah.
How do they use a laptop with their hooves?
Well, see, they just, like I said, they got a groove in the hoof, haven't they?
Oh, groove in the hooves, yeah.
Get down.
Grooving in the hoof, man.
Grooving in the hoof. They got a groove in the hoof, and they put this like pointer type thing, and they keep it in the groove. And they just raise their leg up so they can just, go across it because they got the modern laptops, this sort of thing.
So do they write in furry goat language?
Well, no. because he doesn't get, because at the moment it's strictly kind of local. So it's just an experimental thing.
All right. So and they're not obviously talking English. It's some other language, isn't it?
Yeah, but obviously, Microsoft and whatever and Apple, they don't know this kind of language they speak in, and they're not going to know it either.
All right.
So
well, yeah, because they just take it away and give it every go, won't they?
Yeah. So what they do is they just do it in their own sort of cryptic language, But I ain't going into that because I can understand it, but I ain't saying no more.
I think the bees have got mobile phones, haven't they?
The bees? No, they ain't got mobile phones.
Oh, I thought they did.
Where do you get the bees from?
I don't know. Well, the bees are always buzzing around, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're not interested in the football.
Aren't they? What are they interested in?
No, they're not interested in that at all. They just get on buzzing and leave, that's it. Wow.
Make honey.
Hey, what?
They make honey.
They may come in.
No, they make come.
Oh, they make honey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, they may come in. Honey. I don't know.
Of course they make honey.
Yeah, but, do the bees have football?
No, they don't have football. God, just imagine a tiny ball, bees playing football.
Well, yeah, it'd be a bit odd, wouldn't it?
It would. I mean, great. Even if a well-cut lawn or something like that, it's practically down to the earth.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest thing is that if you had bees playing,
kick a ball or anything like that around.
Well, yeah, I suppose they'd have to have an air ball, wouldn't they?
Air ball.
Yeah, like a ball that weighs nothing.
That's a different thing. They don't play football. It has been heard. Well, not round here, but there is some kind of thing like that going on down in Cornwall.
Wow. Air ball,
yeah. But I don't know any more about it than that.
Well, I suppose it's a bit top secret, really. Nature's amazing, isn't it? I didn't even realise goats played football. It's amazing.
They don't. They play hoofball.
Oh, they do play hoofball, yes. And this goat that was midnight, this goat that was kidnapped, where did you find this goat eventually?
We didn't.
Oh. Well, that's a bit of a shame.
No, because we know exactly where he was.
Where was he then?
Because, like I said earlier on, he was supposed to be kidnapped because the team I was playing with, they didn't want him to be goalkeeper because he was the only one. Because the other one, he had a broken leg, see, so he couldn't do it. The main one.
That's
and this
terrible.
one is shite. Absolutely crap in goal. So they arranged this kidnapping and brought me in, see?
Wow. And, how'd you get on afterwards in the change rooms when all the goats, they take off all their football kit or hoof kit, sorry. And then you all jump in the communal shower, in the communal bath. I mean, obviously, when you take your suit off, you can't jump in there in your suit because you float.
No, I don't take the suit off, do I? I just say, right, I ain't gonna bath for you lot allowed, so I'm gonna have bath when I get home.
Oh, that's incredible. It must be like a sheep dip.
Well, it is similar to that for them, yeah, but I ain't gonna get in that, am I?
Well,
God, I'm a human in disguise, like.
Yeah.
But what happens then is when we get back, we will arrange to meet up at 3 o'clock in the morning at the back of the Thatchers, you see?
Yeah. And obviously celebrations partake of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It goes on till like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Bloody hell, that's a long time.
Well, it is, but it starts to get light then. It's light then.
Yeah.
There's a special tunnel. You see, there's a flap in the back end there, and there's a stairway there. It goes through a tunnel, you see. It goes all the way underneath the Thatchers, underneath the field, up into the woods,
right,
where we can get back into our own area, you see.
I'll tell you what, I'm absolutely fascinated by what you're speaking about tonight because I have never met such an expert on hoofball. and the fact that, you know, referees are badgers and linesmen are squirrels. And I didn't know the ins and outs of hoofball at all. I mean, it's a remarkable discovery. I mean, you know, and it's quite top secret as well. And you're the only person that's seen it and been involved in it. And the rest of the time, goats just go blah like that, don't they?
Absolutely, because they don't want to know. They don't want people to know that they can speak English.
Well,
Right?
I think it's immense. I'll tell you what, you have been absolute diamond tonight.
It's been great speaking to you, but you know, I can't divulge too much, only a certain amount, like, you know. So you got to appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure in the coming weeks we're going to catch up with you again, Lieutenant Kit Kat, and you might have Sergeant Whisper with you then, or Sergeant Flakers.
One never knows. I might even have a you know, this will make them determine a female member of the Moreland Goat Mafia with me next time.
Wow, that would be immense. That would be not that would talk in perfect English.
Yeah.
Tell you what, the scientific world would be fascinated by that, I can tell you. I'll tell you, it's been an absolute privilege speaking to you tonight, Mr. Lieutenant Kit Kat. And, you know, I think you need to take a break now.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. Yeah. I've heard all that before.
Yes. And be careful of your fingers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I only got 2.
Have you? You only got 2 fingers? They normally, Kit Kats have 4 fingers.
Yeah, but not as far as certain actors is concerned.
All right. Okay. We will speak to you again in a couple of weeks, Mr. Lieutenant Kit Kat.
Yeah, we certainly will. And I'll give you an update on what's going on.
Yeah, I'd love to know what's going on. I'm sure everyone else would.
Because there's
it'd be quite good.
The final coming up and all.
You must have. Oh, yeah. Well, that'd be really interesting. But you must have some goat scientific people as well as goats, and it'd be quite interesting to see what the goat scientific take is on COVID next time I speak to you.
Well, they ain't interested in that.
Well, I suppose they ain't, because they're humans.
They don't affect them. Don't affect them at all.
Well, yeah. But
yeah, we do have their scientists, but I ain't saying no more than that. That's for maybe another time.
Yeah. Well, it's been immense, Captain. Captain, I've promoted you already. Look, Lieutenant Kit Kat.
Yeah, it must be something you know than I don't. Eh?
Well, I it was a slip of the tongue, I'm sure. As the goat said to the badger. And
yeah. I'll tell you what, I mean, you ought to come down here one day and
I'd like that. Yeah, it'd be really good.
You ought to come down. We have a few drams in the factors.
Yeah, and watch some goat hoofball.
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, they're in training, see, because the season's finished. They've been training from the first of next month. So
right. Oh well, we'll have to see if I can get there for that. It sounds like something I can't miss.
Yeah, I tell you, you'd be amazed. You really
I know.
would.
I'd just not be amazed. I'd be flabbergasted.
And you think you're on something there?
Well, I think I'd be on something, definitely. I'm not sure what. You've been fantastic. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Captain Kit Kat. And we will speak to you in the not too distant future in the isolated lands of Moorland.
Yeah, we will. So I say goodbye then, and
yeah.
You have a good rest of the show.
Yeah,
and,
I will.
I'll catch you soon.
Yes, and it's been fun. You get back to your goats.
No, I ain't getting back to the goats. I'm getting back home soon. I'm going to have a shower and I'm going home.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, you enjoy yourself anyway. Don't have any goats in the shower. No
goats in my shower. I can assure you that.
All right, we'll speak to you very soon, Lieutenant Kit Kat. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Goodbye.
It's been cosmic. Thank you. Oh dear. I'll tell you, I am blown away with that whole conversation because, you know, not only is Lieutenant Kit Kat an amazing policeman that happens to be named after a bar of chocolate, but he's actually an expert in hoofball, which is the goat mafia or the goats of sort of football with a square football. Can you believe that? I'll tell you, it's just mind-blowing. I'll tell you, absolutely mind-blowing. You know, if you want to catch up with this show again, you can catch it on YouTube and on Facebook, which it will be straight after we have finished the show. I will tell you is on the show next week. We have got Linda Bassett, reader and great knowledge on what's going on in reality. Pamela Price, and who's an amazing psychic artist, and Teresa Sell. It's been a long weekend, but it's been amazing. Teresa Sell, who is an amazing astrologer and immense person. She's coming on, giving us our stars for October, which actually, if you remember back to the shows that Tree's been on before, she's always said that October was going to be quite a big month. And I feel because of the planetary alignments and the various things going on. So we'll see next week what she is talking about with that. And obviously we have another special guest that I have no clue it is until we get nearer to the time. I'm going to go and get my hair trimmed up because I feel that it's gone a little bit sort of rainbow style. Nigel's off back to the planet, taking Peppy with him. You've been amazing people tonight, and the guests have been fantastic. It's great to be back with you. I do apologize about the issues we had in the beginning with my banner that stuck over my face. A lot of people said, well, it's all right, it's much better. And it's been an interesting show. We cover many subjects, many different topics, and as we will next week. Now remember, if you want anything spoke about on this show that you want answered, anything at all, or want a view on, please message me on Facebook and ask me those questions, and I'll make sure they'll be in the show for the next week. All right. All have a good week out there, and stay safe. And I will see you next week at 7 o'clock on the Inview on the jewel in the crown. Now we're through the technical capabilities of the person that I have behind me, the team. We are now broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube. So watch this space. And I'll see you next week, and have a great one. And remember, you're all Inviewites now. So, you know, you are now part of the tribe. So I'll speak to you next week. Good night, and God bless, and goodbye.